So I was in the shower watching an Asmongold video, and he said the most insightful thing that I've heard possibly even anyone say like in the last year, and it really resonated with me, and I have a lot that I want to say about it. So I want to share with you the clip, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to let you know what I think. And yeah, we got expanded vision. We got doggo vision today. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of background on the clip, essentially what's going on is he's watching this video that's doing a critique on this individual right here with the pink hair, who has kind of gone down this path of rejecting everything like responsibility wise and being an adult and kind of doing like the finger waving thing of you need to do this and you need to do that, and just like a very judgmental type individual. You could probably guess, you just by guessing by the way they look, this is not somebody that you want to accidentally bump into in the grocery store, right? Because you'd be canceled or whatever. So anyways, that's a little bit of background on how, what we're getting here, but let's get into the clip, and we're going to talk about it.
Your personality is your mental disorders. I don't want to hear about what I need to change in my life from you. Holy shit.
You stop living the life you thought a proper adult should and start living for what brings your inner child joy.
So that's kind of what I was getting at. She's saying she stopped living a life of what adulthood should be and started, trying to focus on her inner child, right? Just like, indulging in her inner childhood. Okay. And this is a sentiment that I see a lot of adults, I think, especially lately in the last 10 years, kind of embracing and kind of going down this path. So get back to it.
So, when I was a younger guy, I always wanted to hold on to and remember the way I was whenever I was a kid, right? Like, I had a really great childhood growing up. Everything was really good for me. Like, I was so happy. Everything was great. And, I tell people, Chibi, thanks for the 10 gifted subs, bro. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. And I did. And
Yeah, I can personally relate to that, and there's a reason we're watching all the preface to this. I promise. You kind of have to watch a little bit of the before to get the context, and it'll all make sense. But just wanted to say, briefly that I can really relate to this. I grew up in a good house, right? My parents were married. We were not like super well off by any means. Like we went to Goodwill out of necessity, not like because it was cool. But we always ate. We never missed a meal, even though it was close a few times. Like I said, my parents were together. I wasn't abused. Like my parents were good. My dad passed away a little more than a decade ago, but my parents were both fantastic the whole time that I lived in the house. Okay, so I feel very lucky, right? I had a good childhood. Okay, they were good parents.
I had that happen a lot. And I kind of felt the same way that this girl did. And obviously I didn't do it, right? But it's, to an extent, right? And I think that whenever my mom died, I realized that you can't really ever actually go back. You can't, I'm a grown man now. I'm a grown man. I'm in my own life. And, that was the old times. This is the new times. And,
Again, real quick, I experienced something very similar when my dad passed away. He actually passed away suddenly the day before my 19th birthday. So I was still, I guess, technically 18 when my dad passed. And I remember that was a very life altering, obviously life altering, but very life defining moment for me, I think. It was kind of, I don't want to get too far into the details, but being an 18-year-old, I gave my dad CPR and tried to save him. So it was like, it was kind of traumatic, right? And after that, I just remember being like, I felt like crushed, essentially. And I felt like a zombie, like in a shell. I remember it was like 3 months or more before I could laugh at anything. Like I didn't laugh for like 3 months. And, it was hard, obviously. And I think that moment, like it really shaped me as a person. And there was kind of that feeling that I really hated, where I was just like, I just wanted to go back, right? I just wanted to undo everything that had been done and just go back. But there was that moment where I realized, this is it. This has happened and I can't go back, right? It's over. That has happened. That's in the past. And all I can do is move forward and move into the future, essentially. And there was just a deep longing, a deep desire to want to undo the past.
She was then, I'm now, and that's it. And I think that the amount of coddling and and my dad, was always, my dad is even, if you can believe, my dad, for however harsh I am, my dad's like 3 times as bad. So yeah, hate that feeling. Seeing my dad pass. Yeah, and I think that really it was a reality check for me. It was, and I feel bad for these people in a way. But the issue that I have is that they're looking.
It was a really rough reality check. Okay, again, I'm sorry to keep dragging it out, but I just want to get these thoughts out while I have them. I remember, it was tough being 19. I remember all my friends were kind of out partying and hanging out and doing things that other 19-year-olds do. And, I'm stacking firewood so that we don't die. When it comes, we're not going to die, but I'm stacking firewood in the summer so that come winter, we can burn fire to stay warm. It's Maine. Okay. In Maine, you live a little differently, all right? Maine, you live hard. So yes, there are areas of the country where you got to stack firewood all summer so that you can be warm during the winter, right? And I'm doing that as a 19-year-old, right? And I was just like, why do I have to be an adult right now? I kind of want to, I want to still be a kid. Why, I feel like why I'm forced to grow up is what I felt like. I was forced to grow up too fast. I had that child, lifestyle, not lifestyle, I don't know, the child mentality, taken away from me, right? I'm going to work and spending my money, to buy groceries for the house, right? And my friends are, getting to go out and they're, I don't know, spending money on whatever. And I'm saving up my money for a leaf blower, right? And it's just things that you shouldn't have to do at 19. But yeah.
Looking for something and they're never going to find it because it doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Everything about it is gone. And you keep.
Okay, so this is when it starts to get into the really impactful piece that kind of really resonates with me. Okay, the whole premise is, I'm gonna let the clip play for a second, but really the whole thing is, you have to accept that part of your life is gone.
Keep trying to hold on to this world, and you keep trying to it's like you're holding it so hard, and it's just time has passed, and it was a very weird thing for me because I used to be such a sentimental and nostalgic person, and I still am in a lot of ways. But a big part of me changed after that happened, and a couple of other big personal events happened in my life. And I stopped constantly reminiscing on being 17 years old because for a long time I was like, okay, and I still believe this. I believe I was born rich. I had 2 parents that loved me. I lived in a nice house and, I was surrounded by my friends. We didn't have millions of dollars, but, I'd trade millions of dollars to have what I had then again. but I can't do that. I can't have that happen. And so instead of what these people need to do, and this is a criticism you can leverage at me too, is that instead of trying to recreate your own childhood, why don't you try to have kids and recreate theirs and create theirs for the first time and give them the opportunity to be happy the way that you were?
So that really, that's it right there. Okay. That really hit home to me. Okay. For many, many reasons. And I'm super excited to talk about this. So if you didn't catch it, essentially what he's saying is, instead of trying to force yourself into like soaking up your childhood, why not have kids and try to give them the best experience possible and let them experience that magic, right? And let them experience that happiness. And me being a dad now, that it just like incredibly like super resonated with me. There was a time not that long ago, maybe in 2018, I think, where I still didn't even know if I wanted to have kids at all. And I remember, I was doing fine. I was in the military, I was just kind of like coasting in life, not really trying to do anything above and beyond just my, being in the military. And I was married at the time, a previous marriage. And, I had like a, big truck, big diesel truck, whatever, and a jet ski. And I remember I took the jet ski out and I was driving back. It was like this crazy epiphany moment I had. I was driving the truck back and I had the jet ski behind, and I'd just been out on the water, and like it was fun, right? Like I went out there and I had fun. And I was driving back and I pulled into the neighborhood, and as I was getting close to the house, there was like this family outside. And I remember like they were outside, like, playing in the water, and, there was like two little kids and like the mom and the dad, and they were like messing around with this like little, I don't know, this little water contraption you hook up to the hose, and like it sprinkles water everywhere. And I remember just thinking, like, dude, this is so empty. What I'm doing right now is just like so empty. Right now is fine, comfortable. Not like I'm obviously not a millionaire or anything, but like didn't want or need anything. Like I was fine. If I wanted something, I just got it. But I remember I just felt so empty. Like an emptiness that I cannot describe in that particular moment. It was heavy. And that was like the moment for me where I was like, you know what? I would like to start a family one day. I really do want kids. And before that moment, I was undecided. Right? I kind of was like, maybe I'll just selfishly, I just want to do what I want to do, right? I just want to hang out. I just want to be able to do what I want to do, not have really any responsibilities. And I know there's a lot of people that go that route these days. Okay, especially lately. I see people talk about it all the time, and people making videos like, "Oh, I don't have kids. I'm happy. I don't have children. Oh, this is me waking up in the morning happy because I don't have kids." And it's like, dude, if you only knew, right? I remember from that moment, I felt pretty empty, right? And again, that was previous marriage. We got split up, and this is diving into the personal details of Frank, but whatever. Okay. So we're going to go down that road. So there was I kind of I spent some time like really just kind of focusing on building myself, focus on myself, whatever. It was about the Sigma grind set, dude. I was heavy into the Sigma grind set, okay? I did Wim Hof breathing and Kung Fu in the mornings, and finished up my bachelor's. I became a real estate agent, and I was doing all these other things and just like working like crazy, working insane hours. As soon as I come home from the military, I would just work on real estate and trying to build that business. And I remember there was many times I was like, dude, I was just grinding myself to the bone, just working constantly, which I liked. It was a good time, and I would definitely do it like that again. But I remember there was many times I was like, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I I'm doing all this like grinding and like just working constantly to provide for this family that I don't even have, right? Like what am I doing, right? Am I just wasting my time here, just hustling my life away and working on real estate and then fast forward a couple years, to where I'm at now. Well, really, it hit me shortly after my son was born. Okay, and he's just he's like 2.5 now, and so now I'm a dad and I'm also a stepdad. Okay, and being a stepdad is like being a dad, but it's just on hard mode. Okay, it is parenting on absolute hard mode. Okay, it is so much more challenging and difficult than being a regular parent, and I'm both, so I can say that, right? I have the experience of being both. Being a stepdad is so tough. But anyways, what I was getting at is, now that I've experienced, when you're changing your baby's diaper and like they're smiling at you for the first time, everything you've done in your life before that moment, it just doesn't matter. Okay? Like everything you've accomplished before that moment is total like bullcrap. Okay? And I'm not saying I'm like some crazy millionaire, bazillionaire, Jeff Bezos, Alex Hormozy, whatever, right? I'm just a regular guy who's doing okay. But, like I said, I did all right. I've done a lot of things. I spent 10 years in the military, did a lot of accomplishments in the military, doing real estate stuff. I made, I sold almost 100 houses, in a relatively short amount of time. And a lot of that, like 30 something houses in my first year while I was still active duty. So I did a lot. But none of it mattered. Like none of it was as cool as like seeing my kid, like seeing my baby, at 8 months old, riding in a Power Wheels car for the first time, and like none of the accomplishments before that. It's not like they didn't matter or they were nothing. They just like completely pale in comparison. And it's not like I didn't like lose the motivation to do everything else, right? It's not like I didn't lose motivation, but it's just, it completely, like everything to do with the kids just completely overshadowed everything I've done professionally or personally. And again, man, it's like going back to the whole point of the video is building, creating that magic, like I just like don't get happy about a lot of things anymore, especially since my dad passed. Like not a lot of things like make me super happy. I'm not like a ooh, wow, cool, and zippity doo dah, right? I'm not like a let's go do fun things. Right? I'm not that guy. But man, there's nothing cooler than you like Christmas morning with if you have little kids. Christmas morning, you gotta this past Christmas, it was 2 and 6, right? To 2 for my baby and 6 for my stepson. And it's like, nothing's cooler than getting them Christmas presents and just seeing them, just like freak out over nothing. It's not like crazy Christmas presents or anything. They're just so happy, right? And it's like, bro, that magic is incredible, right? And anyone who has like little kids knows this. And my stepson was like, he's not like this as much anymore because he's 7 now. He's a big dog, right? He's 7. But I've been in his life since he was 3.5, and so that like 2-year-old and 3-year-old, like when they're still like really little toddlers and kind of just learning to talk, like everything is fun to them. Right, like everything is like joy and excitement, and you get them any little toy or doodad or an empty box or something, and it's like everything is like super fun. Like even like I remember, my stepson was like, I think he was maybe 4 or 5. Like there were some cardboard boxes that we had from something, and we just like duct taped them together and made this like fort. in the living room. And man, it was just, he had the best time. And being able to like create that excitement and that magic for your kids is like, it's so cool. It's almost better. It's almost better than experiencing it yourself, right? If you think about how good you had it, well, if you had it good when you were a kid, right? If you think about that joy and that happiness when you were a kid, like, it's almost better being able to create it for your own kids. It's crazy. Yeah, man, it's just, I don't even know what to say other than that. It's incredibly magical. It's kind of one of the only things that like makes me really happy right now. And like I said, being a stepdad is really tough. We've got him full time. Right. So he's with us, he's been with me every day, since he was 3-ish until, now. And he's, like I said, he's 7. And it's really cool because he's getting to the age where we can play Pokemon cards now. Like, I've been hoarding Pokemon cards since I was, I don't know, 7 or 8 myself, right? I got some on my desk. I got them laying around everywhere. And, he's finally to the age where he's getting into Pokemon cards and like, yeah, I want to experience that, right? But like me sitting around let's just say hypothetically, I went a different route and I was like a single, alone 30-year-old, me playing Pokemon cards by myself would hit. They would say it hits different, right? Kids say it would hit a lot different than me playing Pokemon cards with my son or my stepson. And I'm only making I consider him my son, right? But I'm only making the differentiation between son and stepson so that you can understand the context of the conversation, right? So like if I was out I'm just saying this, for context. If I was out in public, I wouldn't say, that one's my son, that one's my stepson, right? Both my kids, my sons, yada, yada, you get it. But like I said, I'm only making that differentiation for the context of this conversation because I'm talking about being a stepdad, right? So if I say being a stepdad, I'm talking about my son, you're like, what? But yeah, it's hard, man. And I remember there was one night it hit me particularly hard in the feels where, like I said earlier, my dad passed when I was 19, and he was good before that. He was a good dad. He was solid. And I remember there was this night I was being a little selfish, right? I was being selfish with my emotions and my affection. I was being selfish with my affection. And, I was just like not really in the mood to be like climbed on and stuff. And, I didn't really like want to be jumped on or whatever. And then I was thinking it got me thinking like this kid here, my stepson, I remember how good it felt like being with my dad, right? And like how I would do anything to hang out with my dad again. And then I was thinking like I'm that for him, right? Like he's like, that's me and him, right? So that's, that's on me now, right? So I'm my dad for me. And it just like punched me right in the heart. And I was like, oh, all right, come on. Bring it in there, big guy. Let's snuggle on the couch. Let's do some dad things. But yeah, it's hard. And being a parent, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like sometimes they make you want to rip your hair out. Like, look at me, I'm bald, right? Because I ripped my hair out because they stress me out, right? There are days that they drive me up the wall. Like the 2-year-old found a permanent marker in one of the drawers and decided to paint the Mona Lisa on the wall, right? And then it's like, okay, well, man, all right, well, now we got to repaint the the walls. So we repaint all the walls, and then as soon as you're done repainting the walls, there's like a bloody booger on the new paint, and that's just that's just it is what it is. But man, it's all, dude, it's all worth it when like you come home from work and they just are like, they like run across the room and they're like, oh, you know, Dad's home, or Frank's home. Yeah. But anyways, that's really all I got to say about that. Like I said, I think Zach totally hit the nail on the head here, as even though he doesn't have kids, he was able to pull this nugget out and lay it out on the table. And I wanted more people to get access to this incredible nugget, insightful nugget of wisdom. Thing is, I know it's tempting for a lot of people to just, you want to be selfish and you just want to just worry about you for the rest of your life and not do anything else. And that's fine. You can do that, and that's okay. But if you want to tap into that inner child joy and really experience that happiness again, having children is a great way to do that. And it can bring you a lot of fulfillment in life that working just doesn't do, right? So yeah, that's it. Anyways, kind of a departure from the normal video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a good workout. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.